like and subscribe. What are subtle red flags at a job interview that say working here would suck? I always ask about training and learning curves. Every job I have had that went wrong, I noticed that when that question came up they stumbled. The current job I have, when I asked the question they had sparks in their eyes as they explained the whole process from day one of shadowing to the transition to working solo. And even when COVID hit they managed to continue without skipping a beat. Edit. Oh gosh, thank you. My first ever award. Made my week. They told me all about their generous severance packages. In the initial interview. Turnover City. Well, the overtime isn't mandatory, but most folks stick around after hours most days. Spoilers, the overtime is mandatory. Was interviewed by a senior programmer and the department head. The department head was continuously making condescending remarks towards the other interviewer. Poor guy just sounded broken. Hope he's somewhere else now. On a second interview the general manager brought me into the conference room with his 8 managers present. At first I thought it was a meet and greet, but no, they grilled me for an hour and a half. Did not appreciate that, along with a couple other things, and politely withdrew from being considered. Couple months later I am playing in a ball tournament and come across one of the managers. I mentioned how weird that interview was. He says, "I owe it for you?" Ha. I found out then and there you were being interviewed for my job. Yep, dodged a bullet there. Besides always hiring, they seem almost overly eager to say, "Yes, we could do that," to everything you ask. No job will have literally everything you want, and if your gut is telling you they seem to be promising a bit more than they can offer, they likely are. I had an interview once. The owner of the company told me he was going to hire me, let the man in the office train me, then fire that man once I was up to speed. He also told me that sometimes employees have to hold their paycheck. And the final capper, not that I needed it, I had already decided not to work for him, was he told me I looked like his nephew. I'm female. Once an interviewer straight up asked me if I had any trouble working for free on weekends. I told them my free time is more valuable than anything, and that the only way that I would work a weekend is if they are paying me, and if I felt like working a weekend. She got really mad at me and ended the interview right away. Biggest red flag I have ever seen, because they did not even try to hide it. I had a job interview with 2 people asking questions. One of them brought questions for the wrong position. Things I found out later. The person on the IT team who had been with the company longest had been there just under a year. Their turnover was higher than McDonald's, over 50% turnover annually. They had a goal to get it down to 40%. Bonuses only get paid 1 year after you've been there. For a full calendar year, that only starts counting on January 1st. If you get hired January 2nd, 2020, you wouldn't get your first bonus until 2022. There was no manager for the programmers. There was no director for the IT team. They had tracking software for your every keystroke, idle time, programs you were active in. They would question idle time, which meant people on the phone with clients would be questioned often, because their computers would be idle. There was a lot going wrong, but the interview slip up wasn't enough to really give it away in time. Suffice it to say they didn't meet their turnover reduction goal. I was once part of a group onboarding for a net job. They handed us all the 1-page new hire contract and everyone, except me, signed immediately. When I read the paperwork, I discovered we were signing a mystery document. Clauses included I agree to abide by the personal search and seizure security policy, attached. Without other pages, there was no way to determine what I was agreeing to. I kept requesting more and more pages until the hour drone said, "Okay, I guess me is just determined to hold everyone up. We will handle you separately if you're struggling so much." After I walked out and drove home, I called the hiring manager to apologize for not taking the job. He informed me that hours reported I had walked out after refusing to be drug tested. Last job I worked. Yay, everyone here is new, but it's totally because of COVID. The boss doesn't like people going out to get lunch, because they're afraid you'll never come back, so being your own lunch. You'll get weird looks if you leave on time. It was a Chinese-owned company with heavy Chinese work culture influence, so you were expected to stay overtime all week. Also, the people here are nice, but it's pretty stressful. Eater also was told by my trainer, you want to know the best advice I can give you? Find another job. This was like my second week in. They're afraid you'll never come back is so funny to me. If they make shifts 7.5 hours long, so you don't get a lunch. At my current job, after my interview the manager said I just don't get involved in the staff drama and I'll be fine. It has not been fine. When they ask out of nowhere what clients can you bring with you? I interviewed with MetLife Insurance about 20 years ago. They demanded that I provide them with a contact list of no fewer than 100 friends and family. Note out of that quickly. We cater lunch and dinner for our whole team. Sounds like a positive, but what it means is, we expect you to be working past dinner time hours, and there will be a lot of social pressure to never leave, and to socialize with the team well past working hours. We don't understand that anyone might want a life outside of work. Less of a problem now, hopefully, but in the tech bro heyday, this was super common. This actually happened to me. Interviewer, do you have any questions for us? Me, what is a challenge this department has recently faced? Interviewer, job security. When you are signing all the forms they give you, and you are taking your time to read over every document, so that you can fully understand what you are getting into, and people come in and start telling you that you don't need to read this, and that just sign here and so on. I didn't know it at the time, but you'll be wearing many hats was a sign that they were going to give me the work of 4 positions and the wage of 1. I didn't last a year there before I left, and now I won't even finish reading job ads that include that line. My current boss gave me a great tip on the last interview I had. He said ask them if you can pick an employee to chat with about how they like the position you're applying for. They'll give a better impression of the place than management. I got the job I was interviewing for. I turned it down because the above is the kind of management I want to keep in my life. Also, the place undercut my pay offer I found out, which is certainly also a red flag. You are required to wear clothing that has the company logo. You must purchase it yourself from the company. This is illegal in most US states, unknown about outside the US. I once showed up for an interview and the manager wasn't there that day. No one called me to let me know. The assistant manager was not apologetic for the scheduling issue at all. She was literally just like, oh, she's not here today, in a tone that suggested I should somehow already know that. She said they would call me to reschedule sometime the next week. I told her I was currently unavailable MW, but could come in any time THF. She said if I couldn't make time for the interview, I probably wouldn't be a good fit. I said okay, and went on to my other interviews, and ending up working elsewhere. You'd think that would be the end of it, but both the manager and the assistant manager badmouthed me to a few other people in the industry, including one of my friends. Hello. I made time for an interview. You disrespected me by not calling me to let me know it was cancelled. I gave you the times I was available to reschedule, and that was disrespectful somehow. Jobs where the expectations of the position aren't clear. The person hiring you should be able to give a clear idea of your responsibilities day to day in a practical way. It shows that the company understands what it wants out of the position. I've worked a couple positions that had a really hard time figuring out who was supposed to do what. That lead to a lot of confusion, and both of them had this in the interviews. If the company you're working for can't define what success in that position looks like, you won't be able to either. When you ask, what do you like about working here, and the interviewer talks about the location of the job, it is a great place to live, instead of the actual job. Tagging on to that, I saw another Redditor post to ask tell me about your most successful employee in this position, and listen to what they say. Sometimes it is more telling than the straightforward curs of like ours and such. We value our employees' family time, but then when answering the queue about their most successful employee may talk about a person who stayed late all the time etc. Means they really don't care about your personal time. Edit. Holy. Did not expect this to blow up like it did. I wish I knew who said this first when I read it, since I cannot even take full credit for originality lol. Saw loads of good points made, that the example given is known at the best and I agree, but I still feel that the idea of asking about their most successful employee is a good one as it may provide you specifically with info that could be a red flag or even a beacon of hope lol. Thanks to everyone who gave an award, while I don't know if I deserve them, feel greatly appreciated. I interviewed for an independent contractor position on a piece rate. It's hard to predict how much you're going to earn on a piece rate, so to attract me the manager showed me some pay stubs from his guys. I noticed that 1. He could easily cherry pick pay stubs to show his best guys' best weeks. All that tells me is that I'm likely to make less than what he's showing me, at least on average. 2. The pay stubs were obviously designed to be confusing. They were a full page and absolutely covered in data. He wanted me to be impressed by a dollar amount, obviously not accounting for costs which the contractor has to carry, or taxes which the contractor has to deduct and pay, but he took them away before anyone could have deciphered what the pay period, piece rate, number of jobs or KMS was. 3. He showed me other people pay stubs. WTF. Another red flag is that they were desperate to hire because they didn't have enough contractors to deliver the work contracts they'd already sold. I had 2 guys from different offices call me *AFTER*. I declined the position who apparently still thought I was considering it. We only want the best of the best. Me, how much are you paying? Minimum wage. At my last place of work, the person interviewing me had a printed cartoon on their wall of someone who looked like a bomb had blown up in their face, with the caption "I spoke with boss name about it." I guess we are still doing it. That wasn't subtle at all, but I ignored it. The boss was an absolute tyrant who wouldn't listen to her staff, consider changing her mind about anything, or let people do the work they were best suited to do. She wouldn't show up for weeks at a time. The job itself was decent, but she was the worst boss I've ever had. You've been visited by the ghost of a very important man. Pay your respects by liking and subscribing, and he'll grant you 3 weeks of good luck. 3 weeks of